Hello, my name is Anneke Zuiderwijk and I'm an open data researcher at Delft University of Technology. Various virtual research environments, or VREs, are already under development. So how do these VREs support collaborative open data analysis by researchers? And how might this ultimately lead to input for policymaking to solve societal issues? In this video, I will describe the new opportunities that virtual research environments offer to researchers to analyze open data and to obtain new insights for policymaking. This presentation is based on a gold open access paper I published in the International Journal of Electronic Government Research. Please see the reference at the end of this video. Access to data, and particularly to open data, can be beneficial for science, public policy, and society. It can also inform evidence-based governmental decisions. Open data can come from many different sources, such as governments, publicly funded research organizations, private organizations, social media, and sensors. And novel combinations of data from different disciplines are expected to lead to valuable insights. For example, if you combine open government data concerning the design, construction, management, and maintenance of the road network, you can combine this with data from GPS navigation companies and with social media data from individual drivers to identify issues related to traffic congestion. And the combination of this data obtained from different sources and disciplines may be used to improve traffic policy making. Ultimately, this decreases traffic congestion. Open data can then be used for evidence-based policy analysis and evaluation. And just as new data combinations offer new opportunities, collaboration between the various actors involved in analyzing open data is also expected to facilitate new opportunities to obtain new insights to solve societal problems. Collaboration is an important aspect of many open data analysis projects. So, for example, to improve policymaking regarding energy sustainability, policymakers need not only data from a range of domains such as energy, industry, pollution, climate, weather, housing, and geography. They also need the ability to interpret the data. Collaboration to combine the relevant domain knowledge of different parties, such as energy-saving experts, pollution experts, and climate experts, is needed to investigate and interpret the data and to take appropriate measures. Virtual research environments offer new opportunities to collaboratively analyze open data and to obtain new insights, especially when data from multiple disciplines is combined. And such insights may provide input for public policy making to solve societal issues. VREs provide researchers with access to the resources, including data and software, of various e-research infrastructures. To be successful, VREs must be easy to use and embedded in the scholar's workflow. Previous research showed that researchers require that VREs have an intuitive user interface that they can easily work with. VREs should also provide easy-to-use data analysis tools, including tools for searching data, tools for analyzing and visualizing data, tools for assessing data quality, and tools that allow for the composing of workflows and the tracking of data publications. Moreover, VREs should have clear data use and sharing conditions. To support the use of open data through VREs, it should be clear to VRE users, that means researchers, under which conditions they are legally allowed to use the data, with different levels of sensitivity. They also need to know with whom and under which conditions they can share the data sets that they have processed and combined. Another important characteristic of VREs is that they allow for the generation of new results, including scientific results, by facilitating collaboration between scientists. So when developing VREs, considerable attention should therefore be paid to community building aspects. And finally, according to VRE users, VREs should provide user training and help desk. A user help desk may support users by answering questions regarding both technical and content-related issues. And scholars should be trained to obtain more knowledge of how the system can be used. Using a multiple case study design, we gained insight into how VREs support collaborative open data analysis by researchers. We looked for cases that employ e-research infrastructures that are technically ready to interoperate with VREs or be expandable to VREs. All selected cases involve a relation between data analysis and policymaking, and they represent open data analysis in Europe. So we analyzed 7 cases in detail, and an example of 2 cases can be seen on this slide. The complete overview of the analysis results can be found in the paper shown at the bottom of this slide. In sum, my cross-case comparison shows that VREs provide different degrees of researcher support for collaborative open data analysis. For example, in some cases, researchers receive much support in terms of training, but limited support in terms of data analysis tools, whereas this is different in other cases. So all 7 analyzed cases provide at least some user support for open data analysis for each of the 5 areas, namely intuitive VRE user interface, easy-to-use data analysis tools, clear data use and sharing conditions, support of interaction and collaboration, and provision of user training and a help desk. And there is also still much room for improvement regarding user support for open data analysis. We found that the 7 cases differ on 2 main variables, namely interaction and collaboration, and training and help desk. By combining these 2 variables, we identified 4 support modes: figure it out yourself, leading users by the hand, learning from peers, and training to provide the basics. First, we found that the figure it out yourself model was applied in cases 1 and 2. In the figure it out yourself cases, limited or no training and training-related support in using open data is provided, and there is limited collaboration support for researchers. So, for instance, these VRE-related initiatives do not offer a group setup, do not allow for group discussions or forums, and do not provide co-editing tools. Researchers who want to use the research infrastructure that these cases relate to need a supporting network in case they encounter problems or need to have the knowledge and skills to use this data and solve problems themselves. The fact that the first and second cases do not provide much training and collaboration support does not mean that they do not support open data use in different ways. Second, in cases 3 and 4, we found the model of leading users by the hand. Compared to the figure it out yourself model, this is the other side of the coin. Much collaboration support for the use of open data through VREs is offered, and extensive training in and training-related support for using open research data are given. In this model, less support from the researcher's own network is needed compared to the other models. Instead, data users can ask other researchers for support through the VRE, or they can get support through the offered training program. The third model concerns training to provide the basics, which we found for cases 5, 6, and 7. The third and fourth models are variations of the figure it out yourself model and the leading users by the hand model. And in the third model, the VRE provides training to provide the basics. And in this model, the VRE enables users to learn how to use data and basic data use skills. However, there is limited collaboration support. And then a fourth possible model is learning from peers. In this model, there is collaboration support but limited training for end users. None of the cases that we analyzed belongs to this fourth category. So the question is whether this model actually exists in practice. We started this video by saying that collaboration, training, and other user support are essential characteristics of VREs. However, in some of the cases we studied, we found limited collaboration and training support offered to end users of open research data. And this is remarkable since we focused on ESFRI landmarks and ESFRI projects, which are considered relatively mature cases. Although various initiatives are developing VREs, most of them provide limited user support and can still be improved. Furthermore, we found that most of the investigated VRE initiatives are focused on a single discipline and are not multilingual, whereas societal challenges often require data from multiple disciplines and multiple countries. Recommendations for improving policymaking using the results of open data analysis in VREs include learn from other VRE initiatives and further develop user support. Develop a VRE for multidisciplinary data to obtain new insights for policymaking and encourage new collaborations. VREs should offer clear and effective communication mechanisms for researchers as open data users and policymakers using the outcomes of open data analysis. And finally, develop multilingual VREs.